Okay, at this point, I'd like to talk to you a little about the importance of really being prepared in terms of the specific assignment that you're working. Being prepared in terms of the assignment, surveillance assignment preparation. And perhaps the most important thing right off the bat is you will have received an email from someone at my office who will have emailed you something that looks a little bit like this. And it's a case, we call it a case assignment sheet. This will come to you, have all the vital information on the case. It's critical that you thoroughly review every single word of the assignment sheet. Too many investigators just kind of will breeze over it and they won't look at the details on the assignment sheet. For instance, sometimes you may be assigned out to work surveillance and you just kind of breeze over it and assume that you're starting at the subject's residence, when in reality the details of the assignment sheet maybe request that you start at their employment for that day or at another location. It's really important that you read every portion of it. You thoroughly familiarize yourself with every aspect of the case before you go out. I cannot stress that enough, okay? Make it your mission when you observe, when you read, another important part of the assignment sheet that you really need to look at is, what is the objective? A lot of investigators don't really think about what the objective is. And they need to know exactly what the objective is. What is the goal? Is it an infidelity case? Is it a child custody case? Are we trying to prove cohabitation? Are we trying to prove that the person is active beyond their alleged restrictions? Is it some type of disability case? I realize that most of the time you might know this, but the more assignments you work for us, it's not uncommon for an investigator to kind of go into autopilot and to start to just kind of assume what they need to get. It's super important that they don't assume, that they really look thoroughly at the referral sheet that we give them and read every single word. Make it your mission as a surveillance investigator to exceed the objectives, the goals of our client, the expectations of our client. Really make it your mission to go above and beyond everything that they've asked us to do, okay? So, one important element, find out if there's a GPS unit on the car. Obviously, if there's a GPS unit, if the car's been tagged, that impacts exactly how you're going to work the case. Another important thing, if there is a GPS on the car, make sure that you look into where the vehicle is before you head out on the assignment. A lot of investigators will just go, oh, there's a GPS on the car, and they'll still go start at the subject's residence instead of going to the internet, logging in, finding out where that vehicle is located, and starting where the subject is at that moment. Make sure you do that. It's your responsibility as a surveillance investigator to make sure that all of your equipment is properly charged. We use a lot of batteries in our industry. If you're using a hidden camera, it needs to be charged. Your phone needs to be charged. Your camcorder needs to be charged. Your digital camera needs to be charged. All those things need to be charged. Another very important element to make sure you're prepared is check the date and time stamp on your computer. Make sure that date and time stamp is accurate, that if it's daylight savings time recently passed, that you've moved it forward or back. Very important that you make sure you pay attention to those kinds of details. Another important element of being a surveillance investigator is making sure that you have your wallet. I know this seems the obvious. Some type of extra cash, some type of a credit card, and some cash on hand. These things they seem obvious, but in many situations it can be very important. You find yourself going into a setting, going into a location where you need cash or you may need your credit card. Obviously, we will reimburse you for any expenses that you incur that are legitimately related to the investigation. We encourage you to get authorization first, but you know what? In most situations, we would probably get your back if you felt like you had to take a chance and you couldn't get a hold of anybody and you had to take some money out of your pocket. As long as it's reasonable, I promise you, we will reimburse you for the expenses. Even if the client stiffs us, we'll reimburse you. But be prepared. I'd hate to see an investigator be unable to go into a Disneyland or go into an amusement park or to the movies to follow the subject with somebody because they didn't have 15, 20 bucks in their pocket. It's your responsibility to be prepared in that capacity. Okay, moving on to your actual getting ready now to travel to the surveillance location, okay? Make sure that you've mapped out thoroughly where the subject is located, okay? Maybe even look at it on Google Maps or something where you can get a good look and you can zoom in on the neighborhood before you go out. You can look around for exits, likely exits. You can look at close and nearby freeways, print out your maps, know what the likely routes out of the neighborhood will be. Make sure that you're prepared, that you know how to get there. It's also your responsibility to factor in traffic problems, potential. If you're required to be at the surveillance assignment at 7 a.m., you should not be calling the office and saying, well, I'm late because there was traffic. It's your responsibility to factor in traffic into your departure time. Okay, those things are really important. Make sure that you're ready, that your vehicle is prepared as well. That's the next step. The last thing I'll talk to you about, it has to do with reviewing the assignment sheet, is making sure that you also have pictures of the subject. A lot of times what we'll try to do is we'll email you a photo of the subject, and you can, if you have a smartphone, and hopefully you have a phone which gives you email capabilities, you can pull up the subject's picture actually on your phone. This happens to be someone that we recently followed, and look, I mean, I can zoom in and really get a good look at my subject's face, and I like having it on my phone as opposed to printing it out and having a color picture of it. I like being able to look at my phone. The other good thing is I can pull up an assignment sheet on my phone, and you should be able to do that too. So you can use your phone as a valuable source of information. Keep the subject's photos, keep the suspect's photos, keep information related to the case and case file addresses, maybe even be able to pull up a GPS unit's location on your phone. All of these things are really important. At the end of the day, it's your responsibility to be prepared and to arrive at the assignment on time. We do expect that from you. And we know that things come up from time to time, but that should be very few and far between. For the most part, you should be able to be prepared, have all the equipment you need, the necessary equipment, and get to the job on time. Thanks a lot.